Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazin. When there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Melissa McCarthy. That's who. First of all,
it's not on the beat, but we got what you were doing.
I know.
I love that you busted it out.
First of all, after the boss, we know this woman has got some moves, so this is pretty cool.
Nice.
But talking about moves, I mean, to inhabit a character like this, what would it take for you to actually become a Ghostbuster? I mean, what, do you think you have the skill set?
No, I don't have the skill set. I think I would be more chicken. I mean, I'm fascinated by it, but once it got kind of dicey, if it was menacing and all, I'd be out of there. But if it was just kind of like floaty and some kind of like lacy gauze dress, and I was like, what was your story? So I'm a little lame. I'd be like the historian ghost hunter.
But speaking of that, I mean, obviously this woman, many of you may not know, has her own clothing line now. I think she's actually demonstrating some of it.
This whole thing?
But in the movie, you don't quite get to be as fashionable. I mean, that little one piece, whatever they do. But you get to wear a proton pack, which, let's face it, would be pretty cool.
I'm also not afraid of a jumpsuit. Speaking of things not to be afraid of. And I'm wearing a jumpsuit.
But how was that experience to put on the proton pack? Do you feel like a little kid? I mean,
yeah, I kept thinking like the 13-year-old version of myself is completely freaking out. I mean, I thought if I walked in at 13 and saw and said, that's you in 3 years, I'm only 16, I think steam would be coming out of my ears. And every time we put them on, like, yeah, they were heavy, they were clunky, they were sharp, they were constantly cutting us. Every time they were like, suit them up! Like, I got a weird rush. I was like, we're in proton packs. I have weird gadgets. I've got stuff in all these pockets that like snap and go bad. I was like, this is awesome. Like, there's not a downside to that.
But you are pretty cool in the face of adversity. I mean, let's face it, if most of us ran into a paranormal experience, we might not be as calm and collected as you. Have you ever had one, or would you be enticed? Do you think you'd like to experience one?
I did have a little something happen when I was like 19. I lived in a house in Boulder, Colorado with like, you know, it was like that thing mid-college, like 30 of us rented a house. And first people there that were in this 120-year-old house that wasn't the family. The house was really beautiful, right at the base of like the foothills. And I, of course, darted in front, thought it was very funny that I ran in ahead of everybody, went all the way up and claimed the attic because it was a huge space. And you know, we're coming from like dorm rooms, so I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I call the attic. And as everyone else came up there, they were like, and I knew basically 3 or 4 other people were gonna come up there and we'd all share, but I tried to claim it for myself. And then as everybody came up, they were like, oh, this is weird up here. We don't want to, you keep it. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to be up here by myself. And they're like, we don't want to be up here. So they all shoved into much smaller rooms and wouldn't let me come down. They're like, enjoy that room that you thought you just like got from us. And every time even friends would come and visit and stuff, they're like, the house is great, the attic is really weird. And as you went up the stairs, it wasn't menacing, I didn't see anything. You just always really, really felt something strange.
Well, that's because there's something strange in your
neighborhood, guys.
Last
See
quick
what
question.
we did? See how we did that?
See how we segued back into the movie? Just the last question for you. I mean, let's face it, one of the cool aspects of Ghostbusters is that pimp of a car that you get to drive around in.
One is,
I was about to say, well, what's the coolest car you've ever owned? Has there been a cool car that you've...
My favorite car is my second car. First was a VW Bug, but then my second car was a VW Squareback. Like I think it was a 68 Squareback, which I later found out was one of like the all-time lemons, but I loved mine, and it was just boxy and square. If I went through a puddle, I was doused in water. It had like huge holes in the floorboard. I don't know why I loved it, and I just still always am like, should I get one now and try to like make it pretty? I have like a real affinity for that car.
Well, you can save it for one of your daughters, and then they could be their first car. But I cannot thank you again, as always.
I'll bow right back.
Melissa McCarthy, thank you so much. And this is Scott Orlin. Until next time. Auf Wiedersehen.